Okay, let's get into your reading, Capricorn. Okay, there is someone in your life right now who is watching you very, very closely. And I don't mean that in a scary way, okay? I mean it in the sense that their eyes keep landing on you again and again, almost involuntarily. And I want you to picture that specifically, not a dramatic stare, but a subtle pull. The kind where someone catches themselves mid-conversation with someone else and finds their attention has drifted back toward you without meaning to. And I want you to know this happens more than once, okay? Not just a single fleeting moment. It's a repeated pull, the kind that builds slowly over days and weeks rather than arriving all at once. And the reason behind it, loves, is genuinely going to surprise you. So let's actually get into what the cards are showing me, because this one is very, very detailed. I want you to actually feel welcomed into this, not rushed. This reading found you tonight, out of everyone who could have been watching. And that was never an accident. I put real energy into building these readings, okay? And I genuinely believe they find the person they're meant for, rather than circulating randomly to anyone who happens across them. The Hermit. And I want to start here, because the Hermit is exactly this energy of watching from a distance, a lone figure standing on a mountain peak, holding up a single lantern in the dark. This person isn't watching you up close, loudly, obviously. They're watching quietly, from just far enough away that you may not have even noticed it yet. This card is ruled by Virgo, okay? The sign of analysis, of noticing tiny details other people miss. Whatever they're studying about you, it isn't surface level. They're paying attention to the small things, the way you talk, the way you treat people, the way you carry yourself when you think no one's looking. And I want you to actually sit with that for a second, because it's a lot more meaningful than someone noticing your appearance. This person is watching how you behave in the small, unguarded moments, the ones you don't perform for anyone, because that's genuinely who you are. Most people perform differently depending on who's watching, okay? More polished in front of an audience, more relaxed when they think no one's paying attention. This person is specifically drawn to the version of you that exists in both settings. The consistent one, the Page of Swords. And this card confirms exactly that, okay? A young figure standing on a hill, sword raised, hair blowing in a sharp wind, eyes scanning the horizon. And I want to point out, this figure is standing on genuinely uneven ground, rocky, uncertain footing, and still they hold that sword steady. Whatever nerves they might be carrying about all of this, they're managing to stay clear-headed anyway. That's genuinely worth respecting, not resenting. A lot of people would let nerves make them sloppy or reckless. This person is choosing to stay grounded, even while their heart is clearly involved. A lot of people mistake groundedness for indifference, okay? Assuming that if someone really liked them, they'd be a mess about it. But real maturity often looks calmer from the outside, even when the feelings underneath are just as intense. This is a card of alertness, okay? Of gathering information before ever making a move. This person is not impulsive here. They are collecting evidence, quietly, piece by piece. And this card's element is air, which governs thought and mental clarity above pure feeling. They're not letting their emotions run ahead of the actual evidence. They want to be sure, logically, before they let themselves feel anything too fully. And I want to be clear, okay? Air energy doesn't mean cold or detached. It simply means thoughtful, deliberate. The kind of person who processes before they speak rather than blurting things out impulsively. And I want to be honest, okay, that might sound a little unsettling at first, like you're being studied instead of simply liked. But I want you to hear the rest of this before you decide how you feel about it. There's a real difference. between someone gathering information to hurt you and someone gathering information because they're genuinely trying to be careful with something they suspect actually matters. This reading is describing the second one, the Nine of Cups. And here's where the shocking part actually starts to come in. Okay, a figure sits with arms crossed, okay, surrounded by 9 golden cups arranged behind them like a trophy shelf. This is the wish card. This is the card of getting exactly what you asked for. And I feel like this person has been quietly hoping for someone like you to exist, okay, for a long time. Not a checklist of surface traits, but a specific feeling, a specific kind of presence, the kind of person who actually listens when they speak instead of just waiting for their turn to talk. Someone who's genuinely kind without needing an audience for it. That specific, quiet character trait matters more here than anything flashy ever could. And I want to name why that specifically, okay? Because flashy things fade fast. The initial spark of attraction to someone's looks or charm burns out on its own timeline. But genuine character, the kind that shows up consistently in small moments, that's what actually sustains something over years, not just weeks. And this person seems to already understand that distinction intuitively, okay? Which is exactly why the watching has taken this long. They're not just checking if they're attracted to you. They're checking if this is the kind of thing that actually lasts. And when they came across you, okay, something in them thought, wait, is this actually real? And I want you to picture that moment specifically because it's usually small, almost unremarkable from the outside. A comment you made in passing, the way you handled something difficult without making a scene about it, a small kindness towards someone who couldn't do anything for you in return. And that, okay, is genuinely the shocking reason they are watching you this closely, because they are trying to figure out if you are actually as good as you seem, or if they're just seeing what they want to see. And I want to be gentle here, because that fear says something honest about them, not something bad about you. Someone who's genuinely been fooled by hope before learns to double check even the good things, not out of cynicism, but out of self-preservation. And if you've ever done something similar yourself, okay, double-checked a good feeling before letting yourself trust it fully, then you already understand exactly what they're going through right now. And maybe that shared experience, okay, the mutual caution is actually part of what makes this feel so different from anything either of you has had before. Two people who both know how to be careful with something that matters, finally being careful with each other. And I want to name why that's actually a good sign, okay, rather than something to be discouraged by. Recklessness burns bright and fast, but it rarely lasts. Two careful people building something slowly tend to build something that actually holds. Think about the strongest structures in the world, okay? They weren't built quickly. They were built with real care, real attention to the foundation, which is exactly what's happening here before your eyes. You're literally watching the foundation being laid right now, okay, in real time. Even if it doesn't feel dramatic or obvious from the outside, they've been let down by that kind of hope before, loves. And so now they watch carefully, almost testing reality itself before they let themselves believe it. And I want to honor how much sense that actually makes, because hoping again after real disappointment is genuinely one of the harder things a person can do. This watching isn't coldness, it's self-protection. The kind that develops after being hurt by getting too excited too soon before. Is this person actually real? And this message card, okay, this is a literal thought that has crossed their mind more than once. Is this person actually real? That's what they keep quietly asking themselves, okay, every time you do something that surprises them in a good way, and each time the answer comes back the same, yes, this is real. The case builds a little stronger. You don't have to do anything dramatic to keep proving it. You simply have to keep being who you already are. And I know that can feel almost anticlimactic. Like there should be some grander action required. But the reason this reading is this strong is precisely because you haven't been performing for anyone. That's exactly what's making the comparison so easy for them to win. The Two of Cups. And I want to bring this card in here, okay, because it confirms something important. Two figures standing face to face, okay, each raising a cup to the exact same height. This isn't one person quietly obsessing while the other has no idea. This is mutual. Even if you haven't consciously registered it yet, something in you has probably already clocked their attention, okay? Even if you brushed it off or told yourself you were imagining it, you weren't. Our bodies tend to register these things before our minds fully process them. A shift in how a room feels when someone walks in, a subtle change in someone's tone when they talk to you specifically. Trust that quiet instinct more than you have been. A lot of us are taught to override that instinct, to talk ourselves out of what we already sensed, because doubting ourselves feels safer than being wrong. This reading is asking you to reverse that habit. Just for tonight, this card is ruled by Cancer, okay? The sign of emotional depth and home. Whatever this becomes, it isn't shallow. It's rooted in something that actually matters. And the two cups in this card are always identical, the same shape, the same size, nothing lopsided or one bigger than the other. That symmetry is deliberate. Whatever's forming here, it was never meant to be uneven. And the background of this card always shows two houses, one on each side, connected only by the path these two figures are standing on. Two separate lives, two separate histories, finding a single shared path between them. And I want you to notice something else in this card too. A mountain sits between the two figures, small, distant in the background. There's still some distance left to close here, some ground still to cover. And I want to acknowledge that gap honestly, because pretending everything is already resolved would be dishonest. There's still real distance between where things stand now and where they could go. And that honesty matters, okay? Because a reading that promises instant, effortless perfection rarely reflects how real connections actually unfold. This one is telling you the truth, including the part that still requires a little patience, but the direction is already set. And it's set toward each other, and knowing that direction is already fixed takes some of the pressure off the actual timeline. You don't have to force the pace. You just get to trust it's already pointed the right way. Think of a compass rather than a stopwatch, okay? A compass doesn't rush anywhere. It simply confirms direction steadily until whoever's holding it finally decides to move. Mountains don't move quickly, but they do get crossed. People climb them, step by step, and eventually they stand on the other side, looking back at how far they've actually come. The star. And I want to bring this one in too, okay? The star, a figure kneels beside water, okay? Pouring from two jugs, one onto the land, one into the pool, nourishing both what's visible and what's hidden at the same time. This is hope, okay? Real hope. Not naive hope. Whatever they're quietly hoping about you, this card is confirming it's not misplaced. This card is ruled by Aquarius, okay, the sign of the future, of genuine individual growth. The star never asks anyone to go back to who they were before. It always points forward towards something that hasn't fully happened yet, but is already forming. And I want you to notice how many stars actually surround this figure. Traditionally 8 in total, 7 small ones and 1 large. The large star represents the self. The smaller 7 represent everything else gradually falling into supportive alignment around it. And I want you to notice that this figure is genuinely naked in this card. No armor, no disguise. The star is a card of real vulnerability. Someone finally showing up honestly, without pretending to be unaffected. And I think that's genuinely the whole heart of this card. Love's hope only really counts once we drop the armor around it. Whatever guard this person has been carrying while they watched you, the star is confirming it's finally starting to come down. Justice, and this card here, okay, shows that this person is being fair about all of this. They aren't rushing to conclusions, okay? And they aren't dismissing you out of paranoia either. They're weighing things honestly, carefully. Justice always sits between two pillars, okay? Steady, symmetrical, unmoving. Whatever verdict they eventually reach, it's going to be an honest one, not a rushed one, and not a paranoid one either. And I want you to consider what fairness actually costs someone in this position, because it would honestly be easier to just decide quickly and act on impulse. Taking the slower, more honest route means they respect this enough to actually get it right. This card is ruled by Libra, okay? The sign that cannot tolerate imbalance for long. Whatever confusion currently exists in their own head about this, it's actively working to resolve itself. The Knight of Cups. And I want to bring one more card in here. The Knight of Cups. This knight rides slowly, okay? Not charging in recklessly the way the Knight of Wands would. He carries his cup carefully, level, making sure nothing spills. Once this person actually reaches their conclusion, the approach won't be careless. It'll be thoughtful, considered. The kind of gesture where you can genuinely feel the effort behind it. And I want to note, okay, this knight rides through a landscape that's noticeably lush and green, unlike some of the barren backgrounds in other knight cards. Whatever this becomes, it's arriving in genuinely fertile ground. A season ready to actually receive it. And I want you to hold on to that image, okay? Because timing matters as much as the person themselves. Whatever's about to happen, it's not landing in a difficult, unprepared moment. It's arriving into a season of your life that's actually ready for it. And I want you to reflect for a moment, okay, on how you've grown over just the past year, the things you've healed, the boundaries you've learned to hold, the version of yourself you've slowly become. All of that groundwork is exactly why this is landing now and not sooner. You didn't just get lucky, okay? You built the version of yourself capable of receiving this. That's genuinely worth acknowledging, okay? Before we close, not because it's a nice sentiment, but because it's genuinely true. The cards agreed on this from beginning to end. Every single one of them. 14 cards, one direction, no exceptions. That's not something I can talk you into believing. It's simply what the table showed tonight, plainly. And I'll be here whenever you want to come back and tell me how it actually unfolded. Until then, carry this gently with you, not clutching it too tightly. Just trusting it the way you'd trust something you already know is true, because it really truly is. And I want to be specific, okay, not a generic hey or a random late night text, but something that references who you actually are. The specific things they've been quietly noticing this whole time. And when it lands, okay, you'll feel it immediately. Because it will feel like being genuinely seen, not just complimented. And that difference matters more than people realize, okay? A compliment can be given to anyone. Being truly seen requires someone actually paying attention, which is exactly the entire theme of everything we've covered tonight. Someone paying enough attention to notice, okay? Someone caring enough to actually double check their own feelings before acting on them. Someone patient enough to wait for the timing to actually feel right. Every single piece of this reading circles back to that one idea. And this knight is water sign energy, Pisces specifically, the most romantic and imaginative sign of the whole zodiac. Whatever they eventually say, it won't be plain or generic. It'll carry real thought behind it. You're different from everyone I've compared you to. And this message card, okay, this one is really specific. You're different from everyone I've compared you to. And I want to sit with that phrase for a second, okay, because it tells you exactly what they've been doing while they watch. They've been quietly measuring you against other people, okay, past connections, past hopes, past disappointments. And every single time, okay, you keep coming out ahead. You make me want to try again. And this message card, this one's genuinely tender. You make me want to try again. And I want you to actually let that land, okay? Because it means something bigger than simple attraction. You've reawakened a willingness in them that they may have quietly given up on before you came along. And that's not a small thing to be responsible for, not in a burdensome way, but in a genuinely meaningful one. You didn't have to try to inspire that shift. It happened simply from you existing exactly as you are. And I want you to actually feel proud of that, not just note it in passing. There is a real quiet power in simply being someone worth trying again for, without ever performing or forcing it. That's rarer than most people realize, because so much of what draws people to each other these days feels engineered, curated, performed for an audience. This is the opposite of that. This is someone genuinely, privately noticing you with no filter, no audience, no performance involved at all. Just real attention, quietly given. And there's honestly something quite beautiful in that. Okay, no algorithm involved. No curated version of yourself required. Just someone genuinely paying attention to the real, unfiltered you. And I hope that lands the way it's meant to, okay, as a genuine compliment, not pressure. You don't have to change anything about how you're already showing up. You've already done exactly what needed to be done, simply by being yourself. And if there's a lingering habit of over-explaining yourself, okay, or shrinking down to seem less intimidating, this reading is genuinely a good moment to notice that pattern and gently let it go. The version of you that's being watched right now, okay, is the unapologetic one, the one who isn't trying to seem smaller or easier to handle, that's genuinely who they're drawn to. Not a performance of confidence, okay, but the quiet, natural version that shows up when you're not trying to impress anyone at all. Hold on to that. As this reading continues to unfold in real life, hold on to that, because it's rare and it deserves to be recognized as the genuinely good thing it actually is. And I think that's genuinely worth sitting with. Not as flattery, but as an accurate reflection. You're not being idealized here. You're being compared honestly against real memories, real people, and you're still winning that comparison every time. And I think that's genuinely rare, to hold up under real scrutiny like that, rather than just under the soft glow of a new crush. This isn't infatuation blinding them to your flaws. This is someone looking clearly and still choosing you. And I want you to remember that specifically, okay? On the days doubt creeps back in, this isn't a fantasy version of you they're drawn to. It's the actual, complicated, fully real version. And that version is more than enough. I want that sentence to actually sit with you, okay? Not just pass through. You are enough exactly as you already are tonight, not after some improved version of yourself finally shows up. And I say that not just about this specific situation, okay, but as something worth holding on to in general. Your worth was never conditional on someone else's timeline for recognizing it. This reading just happens to be confirming what was already true, okay, not creating it out of nothing. You were always this worth noticing. Someone simply finally caught up to seeing it clearly. And I want to leave you with that framing specifically, okay, because it changes the whole emotional weight of this reading. You're not waiting to become worthy. You're simply waiting for the world to catch up to what you already knew about yourself. The Six of Swords. And this card, okay, shows real movement happening underneath all of this watching. A boat carries passengers away from choppy water, okay, toward a calmer, quieter shore. This isn't someone staying stuck in observation forever. It's a transition. Slow, but a transition all the same. The water in this card is always shown calmer on the far side of the boat than near the passengers, okay? The roughest part of the crossing is actually right where they currently are, which means the hardest part of their own hesitation is likely already behind them, not still ahead. And I think that's genuinely reassuring, okay, because it means you don't have to do a single thing differently from here. Just keep being exactly who you already are and let the rest of this unfold naturally. This reading is done, okay? But the story it's describing is only just beginning. I mean that sincerely, okay? Not as a closing line to end things dramatically. What happens over these next few days and weeks is genuinely just the opening chapter of something bigger. And I genuinely hope you'll come back and tell me how it unfolds, okay? Whether it matches everything this reading described or takes its own slightly different shape. Either way, I want to hear it. Drop it in the comments whenever it happens, okay? Your story helps this reading find the next person who needs it, the same way it found you tonight. Okay, loves, that's everything I have for you. Someone is watching you closely, and it's for the best possible reason. Carry that with you tonight, gently, and let the rest simply reveal itself in its own time. And I want to be honest, okay, I can't give you an exact date. The Six of Swords doesn't work in specific timelines, but I can tell you the movement is real, and it's already underway. In the meantime, okay, don't put your life on pause waiting for it. Keep living fully, keep enjoying your own days, and let this arrive on its own timing while you're doing exactly that. And this card is ruled by Gemini, the sign of communication and transition. Whatever comes next, it's going to involve real conversation, real words spoken out loud, not another long stretch of silent watching. And I want you to feel some relief in that, because words, even imperfect ones, are always easier to navigate than trying to decode someone's silence forever. The Sun. And I want to bring this card in to close out the spread, okay? The Sun, a child rides bareback on a white horse, okay? Arms wide open beneath a sun with a face. Rays pouring outward in every direction. This card never hedges, okay? It confirms plainly joy, clarity, a genuinely good outcome. This card is ruled by the sun itself, which means there's no hidden agenda tucked underneath it, no shadow side at all. What you see is genuinely what you get, pure and simple. And I want to name why that clarity matters so much here, okay? Because a lot of readings hedge. They say maybe, possibly, could be. This one doesn't. It says yes, plainly. And I stand behind that, and I want this to be the actual feeling you carry with you tonight, loves. Not confusion. Not over-analyzing every glance from here on out. Just a quiet, settled knowing. So the shocking reason you're being watched, okay, isn't a scary one. It's this. Someone has quietly decided you might actually be the real thing, and they are watching carefully enough to make sure before they finally let themselves say so out loud. I keep telling myself not to get my hopes up, and this message card, this is one more private thought straight from them. I keep telling myself not to get my hopes up. That's the exact tension they're living in right now, okay? Hope pulling one way, self-protection pulling the other, and neither one fully winning yet. And I want you to actually have compassion for that tension rather than reading it as mixed signals or games. It's simply what it looks like when someone genuinely cares but has been burned enough times to move carefully. And I want to give you a few things to actually hold on to before the final message. Okay, the first, don't shrink yourself now that you know this. The whole reason you passed their comparison so clearly is because you were simply fully yourself the entire time. The second, pay attention to the small signs of that attention over the next few days, okay? A longer glance, a question that seems casual but clearly isn't, them remembering something small you mentioned once. These signs are easy to dismiss in the moment because they're subtle by nature. Keep a small mental note if it helps, not to obsess over it, but simply to notice the pattern building over these next few days. Wheel of Fortune. And I want to bring one more card in here. The Wheel of Fortune. This card never asks permission before it turns. It simply turns. Whatever felt stuck about this situation before, that stuck feeling is already shifting. This card is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion and luck. Whatever comes out of all this watching and weighing, it isn't going to be small or partial. It's going to be real, and it's going to matter. Think of a wheel actually turning, a Ferris wheel, or the wheel on a car. It never stays at the bottom forever. The mechanics simply don't allow it. Whatever felt like an endless holding pattern, it was never actually endless. The third, let them take their own time reaching their own conclusion, okay? Justice showed real fairness happening here, not paranoia. And fairness deserves the space to actually finish its process. I know it's genuinely hard to sit with uncertainty, okay? Especially once you know what's actually happening behind the scenes. But rushing someone who's finally being careful and honest risks undoing the exact quality that makes this trustworthy in the first place. And I want to give you something concrete to do with that waiting, okay? Rather than just white-knuckling through it, pick one small thing this week that's just for you, a hobby you've been neglecting, a friend you've been meaning to call, a goal you've quietly set aside. Filling that space with your own life makes the waiting feel active instead of paralyzed. I know that's genuinely hard, loves, especially once you know what's actually happening behind the scenes, but rushing someone who's finally being careful and honest risks undoing the exact quality that makes this trustworthy in the first place. So use this waiting time for yourself too, not just as a holding pattern. Whatever peace you can build independent of the outcome, that peace is yours to keep either way. And I want to answer one more thing, okay? Why this reached you now with this much specific detail. You needed to see the full shape of what's actually happening so that the next time you catch someone's eyes lingering a little too long, you recognize it for what it actually is, a longer look than necessary, a question that circles back around to something you mentioned weeks ago, a slight nervousness in someone who's usually composed around you. These are exactly the fragments this reading is preparing you to notice. And I want to add one more. Okay, watch for them showing up in places they don't normally go, finding reasons to be near wherever you happen to be. That kind of small engineered proximity is one of the oldest, most reliable signs there is. People don't accidentally end up somewhere repeatedly, okay? Not without some reason drawing them there. If that starts happening, trust it fully. And don't feel awkward if you decide to say something first, okay? A simple hello, a genuine compliment, an invitation to grab coffee. You're allowed to move too. You don't have to just wait passively for them to make every move. And I want to speak to the small doubting part of you for a second, okay? The one quietly thinking, but what if I'm imagining all of this? That voice isn't wisdom. It's a pattern built from being overlooked before, trying to protect you from hoping too much. Just for tonight, set that voice down completely. I don't pull 10, 11 cards agreeing this specifically by accident, okay? And I wouldn't tell you this with this much confidence if the energy behind it wasn't genuinely this strong. This is already in motion, okay? The Hermit showed quiet, careful observation already underway. The Page of Swords confirmed real attentiveness, not impulsiveness. The Nine of Cups revealed the actual reason, wish fulfillment, disbelief, hope being tested. The Two of Cups and Star confirmed real, mutual, hopeful energy. Justice confirmed fairness, not paranoia. And the Six of Swords and Sun confirmed real movement, leading somewhere genuinely good. The Wheel of Fortune and Knight of Cups confirmed that stuck feeling is already turning, and a real thoughtful gesture is already forming. So let me lay this all out one final time, okay? Slowly, so it actually settles. Someone is watching you closely, okay? And the reason is not what you might have feared. The Hermit and Page of Swords confirmed careful, quiet observation, not obsession, not anything sinister. The Nine of Cups revealed the real reason, disbelief that someone this good could actually be real. The Two of Cups and Star confirmed this feeling is mutual and genuinely hopeful. Justice confirmed real fairness in how they're weighing everything. And the Six of Swords and Sun confirmed real movement already underway, leading towards something clear and genuinely good. And the message cards confirmed the private words behind all of it. Is this person actually real? You're different from everyone I've compared you to, and I keep telling myself not to get my hopes up. One message. They're not watching because something's wrong. They're watching because they think they might have finally found something right. And I want to leave you with one final thought, loves, before we close completely. Months from now, maybe far sooner than that, you're going to look back on this exact reading. The one where you sat here wondering if any of this was real, and you're going to smile at how much you worried. The way we always smile at old fears once life has finally plainly answered them. If this resonated, drop a comment and let me know what hit hardest. I genuinely read every comment, loves. Even the ones I can't always reply to individually. Your story becomes part of the reason this reading keeps finding the next person who needs it too, like this reading, and make sure that you're subscribed. And I'll see you in the next one. And wherever you're watching this from, okay, I want you to actually feel this settle in before you go, not just read past it. You've spent enough time doubting whether people notice you, okay? This reading is telling you plainly someone is noticing you very, very closely, and for the best reason there could possibly be. Take care of yourself. Bye, loves.